Monterey, Tuesday, July the 12th, 2022, 4:00 p.m. Meeting is ready to begin, and Jennifer is on the roll call.
Definitely. And first, I just want to start.
Recording in progress.
That's for my own copy. Thank you. First, we have for attendance, Chair Freeman.
Present.
Vice Chair Reed has already let us know he'll be absent today. Commissioner Brassfield,
Present.
Commissioner Dawson,
Here.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Here.
Commissioner Latassa,
Here.
Commissioner Milich.
Zoom.
Great. And for staff here present, we have Community Development Director Kim Cole, Associate Planner Matthew Buggert, and Recording Secretary Jennifer Cleary. That is myself. Here today with us. And before we get started, I'll take this minute to announce to the public. We do encourage members of the public to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey with a 10-second delay and Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has begun, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll-free. Once again, that toll-free phone number to call is 833-568-8864. Then enter the web. For this meeting, the webinar ID is 161-990-8039. Once again, this meeting's webinar ID is 161-990-8039. If that first phone number does not work for you, there are more listed on the meeting agenda at isearchmonterey.org. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in orders of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Jennifer. We have 3 items on the agenda today. 1 consent item, the minutes, 1 regular item, and 1 special item, not a project. Yeah. And the first item is the consent agenda, and the only item on the consent agenda is the approval of the minutes for June the 14th, 2022. If any member of the public or commission would like to discuss this consent item. No. I read through them. They look fine to me. Mike, Dan, Steve?
I was not here, so I will be abstaining.
Oh, okay, so you wouldn't know what they
I
were
wouldn't
supposed to say, right?
I would move approval of the minutes. Stephen Page.
All right, there's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes for June the 14th. Is there any discussion of the motion? Very good. Let's call for the vote.
Chair Freeman,
Yes, approve.
Vice Chair Reed is absent. Commissioner Brassfield,
You're muted.
Commissioner.
He was absent at that meeting, I
I
think.
believe I was absent, so I'll abstain.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Dawson,
Abstain.
thank you. Commissioner Fletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Latassa,
Yes.
and Commissioner Milich.
Yes.
Okay, these meeting minutes are approved. The June 14th, 2022 minutes are approved by a vote of 4.
Good. Let's move on to public comment. This is an opportunity to make a public comment for an item that's not on the agenda. And Jennifer has provided us with all of that information on how to make a public comment. Is there anybody on the line, Jennifer?
I do see a couple of attendees on the line, so just real quick.
May I please cut in for a second?
Sure.
Madam Chair, would you also please indicate to callers that it has to be an item that's within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission? It's something that we can do something about.
So an item not on the agenda within the purview of the Planning Commission.
Thank
If-
you.
Yes.
That's a good addition. Thank you for including that. So once again, if you are already in the meeting by Zoom, please provide public comment by raising your hand. There is a button for that at the bottom of your screen. Or to provide public comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute once you're called upon. And I do believe that the only attendees are here for an item.
For the agenda item?
I see no hands raised, so
Okay.
I don't think anybody wants to comment.
All right,
Yeah.
we will retire that item and go to the first public appearance item. And this is item number 3 on the agenda. Consider 95 Prescott Avenue, the use permit, application UP 220079 to allow commercial recreation and entertainment. The applicant is Bella Avery. The property owner is Cannery Rope Company. Vince Balistreri is the authorized agent. This is in the Community Commercial District in Cannery Row. And let's begin with the staff report by Matthew.
All right, I will share my screen. Thank you. My name is Matthew Buggert. I'm an associate planner with the City of Monterey's Planning Division. Today before you, we have 95 Prescott Avenue, not on Cannery Row. Apologies for that. Use permit for commercial recreation entertainment, mini golf experience with full service bar and restaurant. This is for today's Planning Commission hearing on July 12th, 2022. I am not sure why this is still on screen. There we go. Today's recommendation from staff is to adopt the resolution approving the use permit with conditions. The subject property is at 95 Prescott Avenue. It's in the northwestern side of the city. And the location is in the old Cannery Row Brewing Company building, which closed about 2 years ago or so. It's next to the Cannery Row public parking garage and just up the street from Cannery Row itself. The project description: there's a use permit required in the C2 zoning district for commercial recreation entertainment use. It is specifically for mini golf within the building. The full service restaurant aspect is principally permitted in this zone, and it would operate under a type 47 ABC license, which includes all types of alcohol, wine, beer, spirits. The applicant currently holds a type 41, which is beer and wine only, but they would like to progress to the more encompassing ABC license. The proposed hours of operation would be from 11 a.m. to midnight, except on Friday and Saturdays, they have proposed being open until 2 a.m. They'd consistently employ about 30 staff members. They also would like to do various special events, birthday parties and whatnot for a mini golf that could increase the number of employees. Temporarily, they've set up to about 40. For security on site, they proposed a camera security surveillance system and a personal ID patron scan system for checking in people when they enter the premises and want to get beer and wine and spirits. The floor plan of the inside, this is the first story. When you walk in the lower left in yellow, you'll see the entry. Going into the purple area, there is the full service restaurant with the bar, the seating area, the walk-in cooler. Moving further into the structure, you have the mini golf area, and more in the center of the room, there's some example pictures later, and some open areas off to the right where they might have tall tables, the stools, and socializing area. Kitchen in the lower right, outdoor deck or deck area on the upper part, and the red at the bottom is the access to the upper and lower floors within the building. The orange in the far right is more maintenance, access, staff type areas. As you move upstairs, this opens into some restrooms on site in the blue, and then further into the public socializing area and another mini golf area with another bar upstairs. Again, with the orange, it's more maintenance, storage, and staff access overall. Lastly, if you were to go down from that primary floor, there are more restrooms downstairs. There's another bar area and another socializing area down below. They've talked about if they can work it out with building, putting in some division walls, so when they do events like parties and whatnot, they can have larger or smaller areas depending on what somebody wants to do. Some example photos of other locations from the operator. There's one in Tahoe. You'll see the mini golf courses are raised slightly. There's lighting around the bottom for awareness and safety. And there's a similar establishment that is in Sacramento as well. The sports bar theming and brewery and little tables for socializing around the edges. Conditions of approval on this project is that the employees receive ABC licensee education on alcohol and drugs, training prior to selling alcoholic beverages. The hours would be limited to those proposed in the application. There would be a 12-month review by the Planning Commission. So 1 year from now, we'll do a check-in to see how things have gone, calls for service, police response. There's a condition that the camera footage and customer IDs be saved on site for a minimum of at least 3 days in the case that an incident occurs. And violation of the conditions of approval would result in revocation of the use permit that we are considering today. The findings for approval that are required from us today are that the proposed use is in accordance with the objectives of this chapter and the purposes of the zone, specifically for the C2 district. The full service restaurants with commercial recreation are permitted by use permit, and as proposed includes provisions for security, limited hours, and conditions of approval. The second finding for approval is that the proposed use and conditions under which it would be operated would be consistent with the general plan, would not be detrimental to public health, safety, welfare, and would not be detrimental to properties or improvements in the vicinity or to the general welfare of the city. As proposed, it is consistent with the commercial land use designation, again, the limited hours and conditions of approval. The mini golf areas would be entirely enclosed within the building. There would be restrooms on site. Noise would be within the building and should be consistent. Third, the proposed use will comply with any specific conditions required for that use. Those conditions that have been proposed, any that may be discussed today, would apply to the use permit moving forward. So with that, the recommendation from staff is to adopt the resolution approving the use permit with the conditions. And that concludes staff's presentation. The applicant is on the line. There may be a few people from the applicant there. They do not have a specific presentation, but are available for questions and may want to say a few words.
Okay. Well, let's start with questions for Matthew. if you have any. I think that Mike Brassfield has a question, but he's muted.
Again,
Thank you. Matthew, is recording capability, the video required?
It is, there is not a specific duration that the police department requires for holding video on site. However, as part of this use permit, they would be required to retain the video surveillance for at least 3 days.
Thank you. I do have a question for the applicant if they're available.
I have a question for Matthew.
All right, well, let's start with your question, Terry. We'll come back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Matthew. Good work. So my question is about this 12-month review by the Planning Commission. Is that a standard thing for this kind of a use to have them come back in 12 months?
Would you?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. It is a condition we've applied to many bars or establishments that include full service bars. And we've always found it to be a good check-in, either at 6 months or 12 months, just to make sure that everything is being operated safely. And I would say the majority of businesses have easily met that threshold.
Okay. Is this condition sometimes worded such that if complaints are received, then that triggers the 12-month review?
I can't say that we didn't do that in the distant past, but the more recent use permits have said, I was thinking is even though they're not selling alcohol, the place that's like breaking stuff.
Yeah.
We had said, you need to come back to the planning commission. We're going to review how things are going.
Yes. And I think that was a 6-month.
That was a
Review,
6-month
right.
review. And this one for bars, I think the last one we did was also the Whiskey Club that hasn't opened yet. And we said within a year of operation, we want you to come back and see how things are going. So they varied a little bit,
Mhm.
but somewhere between 6 and 12 months. And we usually bring most of the bars back to the planning commission.
Okay. So that's becoming sort of standard condition. And okay, that's all. Thanks.
make
think
for
the
a
same
very
thing-
heavy pop-up list.
In a year, well, yes, given the number of bars and establishments that are, en route
They
to being
They
established.
just keep popping up.
Yeah. They have to apply for a Series 47 license for distilled spirits,
Correct.
right?
What they would be operating under until they can get to that point is just the beer and wine license.
Right. Just for clarification, in some of the exhibit materials that were submitted by the applicant, there is an example in Sacramento. And the applicant in Sacramento was going to participate in a lottery for a Series 47 license. We don't have that requirement here, do we? Okay.
Not yet.
So they work directly with the ABC on that, and they typically have to purchase the license, which means there's one that's been given up somewhere else in the city or the area.
Okay.
And there's a very formalized process through the ABC where that occurs.
Okay. Dan, Steve, questions for Matthew?
It's pretty straightforward.
No, I don't have any.
Let's move on for questions for the applicant who's on the phone. Mike Brassfield.
Are they on, Jennifer?
There are some applicants here. I do think there's a group of 4 that are all working in conjunction with the applicant or the business. So maybe if you ask your questions and then whoever knows the answer can raise their hand.
That sounds good. My question is regard to the video inside the business. Is there any blind spots, and are all access to exits and so forth under video surveillance as well?
Okay, and I do see a hand raised. Thank you. Craig Watts. I'll allow you to speak.
Craig Watts.
You should be able to unmute and.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so we have, we use a cloud-based camera service. So we have access to that for, I think, up to a year, all the data. We have all the entryways, have cameras. I can't say that every portion, I think it's 18,000 square feet in total, the building, 3 levels. There's definitely going to be a couple blind areas, but all the main areas, the bar areas, all the high traffic areas do have surveillance.
Would that include the entrance to your office areas and storage capabilities?
Yes, definitely. And all the liquor storage as well.
Thank you. That's an area that's of a concern when you have just wandering customers throughout a facility. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair. That was my question.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, I guess I have another question. For Mr. Watts, the architectural drawings, I think they just have a mislabeling. On the right-hand part of the drawings, it says some kind of a business in Emeryville. And it looks like whoever drafted it, patched in some other drawing title. And since that is going to be attached to this approval, are you aware of that it's, there's a mislabeling of the address on the drawings?
We did get another hand raised. Jesse. Let me switch our speakers.
It's not a big deal. It's just, I'm an architect and if this is going to get attached to a resolution, it should have the proper labels.
Flat stick.
Well, yeah, one of them says Flat Stick Pub
Yeah, right.
and the other one says Tipsy Putt.
I think
So-
typically,
Jesse.
Yeah.
Are you online?
I'm here. Yeah, so a little bit of background. Craig Watts is one of our business partners and he does a lot of the construction side of things. I'm one of the business partners as well, works with all the operations. But to answer your question, we do have a few projects going and we have one architect, so that probably is just a misprint on that and we can have that changed very easily, no problem. One of our projects is in Emeryville right now currently. So that is probably just a misprint on that. And I can definitely, Craig Watts actually would be the one that's dealing with the architect. So he would absolutely have that fixed for you guys, no problem. And as far as the Tipsy Putt naming thing goes, we are Tipsy Putt LLC. We do have the DBA, which is a flat stick pub, which is another branch of our mini golf concept here in Sacramento and Tahoe. And then our parent company, our main brand is Tipsy Putt LLC, doing business as Flat Stick, but in Monterey would be opening as a Tipsy Putt.
So that's the name of your business in Monterey, Tipsy Putt.
Correct.
Okay. That's
not a big deal.
No, but that is a very good catch because, it's the name of their business.
I mean, the plan is the plan. It's obviously that space.
Good call, Terry.
Oh, thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? How many holes of miniature golf do you have here? It looks like almost 18, but not quite.
We have Craig Watts with the answer.
Nobody can answer that one. Craig Watts.
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
We're proposing this location will have 18 holes, 2 golf courses, one on the main level, one on the upper level. With the California passing legislation a couple years ago about ADA requirements, where 50% of the holes have to be ADA compliant. So taking that into consideration, we will have an ADA compliant hole golf course, 100%, and then we will have another golf course that will kind of be a hybrid in between.
All right,
I have a question.
certainly.
On each golf course, will there be access to restroom facilities as to each one without going up or down stairs?
The upper level has its own restrooms. The main level does not have restrooms. The basement has the restrooms for the main level, but there is an elevator that goes to all 3 levels.
Okay, thank you.
Question, Mike?
Oh, thanks.
Okay. If there are no more questions for staff or the applicant, let's open this up to public comments. And a public comment will be on this issue, the opening of Tipsy Putt. Henry Road.
Definitely. And it is on Prescott, not Henry Road, just for the record. Do we want to give the applicants a chance? They don't have a presentation, but if anybody wants to speak, it would be the applicant's turn to provide further information
Go for it.
before we
yeah.
collect public comments. So if any of you applicants on the line would like to add additional information or anything like that, now would be the time to do that. Raise your hand. Or Craig, you already still have permission to speak if you wanted to add anything else. Now's your turn.
You guys hear me?
Craig.
You're on.
Yeah, I would just like to say that we do every Sunday that we do we're a very community driven business, and every Sunday we do Sunday fundraise where $1 of each beer and game sold goes to a local fundraiser, where our marketing team is always teaming up with different parts of the community. All of our beer is independently owned, no big corporate companies. Everything is brewed within 75 miles. We really have like the family atmosphere and try to keep it that way, not the big corporate feel. So just wanted to throw all that out there.
Thank you.
So this is not a Jack Nicklaus designed mini golf course.
Thank heavens.
All right, thank you for providing that. And we can take this opportunity to move on to public comment. So once again, to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8884 toll free. Once again, that toll free phone number is 833-568-8864. Then enter this meeting's webinar ID 161-990-8039. Once again, this meeting's webinar ID is 161-990-8039. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of the screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. And I see no new meeting attendees. And we have nobody in the chambers. So I don't think anybody wants to provide public comment on this.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. Let's close public comment then and open it up to commissioner comments. Want to start?
Sure. So this is a great project. It's got to be one of the biggest commercial spaces in that whole district. And it's been gone through several ownerships over the last 10 or 15 years. And you know, I hope these new applicants are able to get the activity that they anticipate. It seems like a great, appropriate project. We've been seeing more of these kind of fun, tipsy family. I don't know how to describe it, but something about drinking and families. I guess they're families over a certain age, and but they all seem to be a certain type of activity. I can see it. Sounds like fun. So it's really a great project, and I am ready to vote for it.
I'll drink to that.
Activities with drinking provided, right? Yeah.
Perfect.
Mike?
I was going to ask if the great big sign that we approved years ago, Henry Real Brewing Company around the top of the building, that's still there.
I don't
I don't know.
know.
I haven't noticed.
This is the building that has
is the
the
building, yeah.
multiple beer kegs dangling off
Right.
the corner,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's still,
Yeah, it's still there.
It's still there. Okay. All right.
Yeah, if the signage needs to be updated, they'll be coming through as well.
Okay, good. Mike Grassfield, comment?
No, ma'am. I agree with Dan. It's pretty straightforward.
Steve?
No, I've already said what I
Okay,
had to say. I'm all for it.
all right, great. My only comment is, this is kind of neat because I think there have been 2 other applications for outdoor miniature golf on the Cannery Row area between Foam and the waterfront that haven't been approved and haven't made it. And this one is in an enormous building. And I really hope that it works out because it seems very appropriate under all weather conditions. Yeah.
You may recall, Sandy, that on one of them, the planning commission voted unanimously in favor of it. It was a lady from Texas. I don't recall her name, but the city council voted it down unanimously because there were no restroom facilities available. And that sparked my concern and questions about availabilities of restroom.
Lessons learned.
At that time, but I do kind of remember a little bit about it. Mike, you want to say something?
I was just going to comment. It's lessons learned.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, well, if those are the comments, do we hear a motion to approve?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve this item as submitted with the conditions and findings. I would like to add one extra condition, just that they change the architectural drawings that are Exhibit A to properly reflect the address and name of the company.
All right, a motion has been made to approve with
I'll
correction.
second it.
Commission, is there a second?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Motion and a second. Any discussion of the motion? All right, then let's call for the vote.
Sure, and that was Commissioner Brassfield who seconded it, right?
Correct.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying. And for the vote, we have Chair Freeman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Reed is absent, Commissioner Brassfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Dawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Latassa,
Yes.
and Commissioner Milich.
Yes.
Thank you. This motion passed unanimously with a vote of 6, and it is appealable to the City Council with forms found available at the planning office.
So
Within the,
10 days.
yes, within 10 days.
Congratulations to the applicant. Nice job, Matthew. Presentation. Our last items are, we have an item, number 4, to confirm the annual appointments for chair and vice chair. I'm off the hook, I think.
You've done a superb job.
Yes, she has.
Well, thank you. I'm off the hook just in time for the important hearings on the cell phone towers. Handing that one over to someone else. Kim, you want to talk about it?
Sure. And thank you, Chair Freeman, for your service this past year.
Thank you.
The city council, as you're well aware, established an annual rotation, and I finally have it down right. Making a few mistakes a few years back. So the rotation would go to the next member, which Commissioner Reed is the next member that is potentially eligible to serve as chair. I know he's not here this evening, but I did call and speak with him, and he is interested in serving as the chair. The next person eligible for vice chair would be Commissioner Fletcher. He last served as chair in 2016, 2017. So I did not call Commissioner Fletcher because I knew he would be in attendance tonight. So assuming that he is interested in the position, that is the recommendation for the annual rotation.
Sounds great.
Long live the king.
Yes. Me. Do you accept, Dan?
Absolutely.
Great.
I move acceptance of the slate, only if they don't talk.
Do we vote on it?
Yes.
Okay.
I second the motion.
So a motion has been made to accept the new chair and vice chair as presented, second by Mike. Let's call for a vote, Jennifer.
I missed who made that motion. Oh, okay, thank you. We should take public comment. So once again, to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll free. Once again, the phone number is 833-568-8864. Then enter the webinar ID 161-990-8039. Once again, this webinar ID is 161-990-8039. And I do not see any attendees in the meeting. Or no, none raising their hand. So I think we're safe to move on. Oh, right. Chair Freeman.
Approve.
Vice Chair Reed is absent. Commissioner Brassfield,
Approve.
Commissioner Dawson,
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Latassa,
Yes.
Commissioner Milich.
Yes.
All right, this motion carries. And congratulations on being vice chair. And
And
Hans Interview-
I agree with I just wanted to say thanks, Sandy. You're sort of a model for chair, I think, with your sort of the way you present the items and everything is very thorough and friendly at the same time. So good work.
Thank you. Thank you. I've enjoyed it very much. So that's.
But you are being
So
proposed.
happy to turn it over. I'm so happy to turn it over to
No,
someone
you aren't
else
gonna
for a
prevent
year.
the insurrections or anything.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Maybe you can come back for the antenna hearings.
Oh. Anyway, thank you very much. And let's move it on. Does anybody have comments to make? Just for the good of the order?
I have one question for staff. The massage business that was approved across the street from Santa Cruz Bank.
Yeah.
There's a window section where it's framed out. You see it framed out, closed off, and batten insulation. Typically, they would tint that window or paint it out on the backside or something. Is that something that the Architectural Review Board concerned themselves with? Because it doesn't look all that great right now.
Let me go ahead and coordinate with the building department. I'm not sure they're done. That may just be
Yeah.
propped up there as they're during construction. So let me
Right.
find out the status of
Thank
the
you.
massage envy base.
Thank you.
You know, while you're doing that, the thing that always seemed odd to me about such a beautiful new building is that all of the backflow prevention device for the fire department is so out there. And with the building unoccupied, people just walk by, you know, because it's an unoccupied building. But once the public starts going in and out, it seems like such an attractive nuisance that, you know, people can get their hands on. Just a thought, whether or not they're going to screen it off, cover it up.
Yeah, there's no proposal to screen it off at this point, and the
Okay.
building's been finalized as far as the exterior.
Okay.
So what's the ETA on the cell towers?
We're looking at August, so we're, I don't know whether it'll be the first or second meeting in August. We meet with our legal counsel team on, I think it's Thursday or Friday this week. They've been combing through. Even after the meeting, we received substantial public comments. I think we're up to 35 separate letters. So they've been combing through all those letters to see if there's any additional changes that should be recommended. In addition to all of the input that you provided. So all of that's shaping up, and I think most of the letters we probably need to move them forward, but we'll post them to the August meeting so you can read them well in advance. Because people have spent a lot of time and energy on comments.
I do believe that we already have been uploading everything to the submitted comments page.
Yeah, I think so too, but I just need to verify.
Thanks.
Did the man, did his partner, is she acting alone now, or has she brought in somebody else to help her?
Gail Koresh is taking the lead
Okay,
for BB, Best in Krieger.
all right,
And she's always been part of our team,
yeah.
the California lawyer. And then anyways, she's the lead now.
Kim, a question. Could you ask if they would examine West Virginia versus the EPA decision by the Supreme Court?
Most
As
recent-
if that will have action regarding the authority of regulations versus intent of Congress?
Administrative agencies versus Congress.
Thank you.
There's also another question that I have. I was reading in the Daily Pine, the Pine Cone, that the lawsuit by Verizon against the city of Carmel had been thrown out of court by a Santa Barbara judge. And I'm wondering, was that because, can we get an up-to-date report on what that was about?
Sure.
Because it definitely could affect us too, here in Monterey with the ordinance. Remember Verizon sued to declare the recent Carmel ordinance invalid in violation of a federal law. And a superior, I believe it was a superior, maybe a federal court judge, magistrate, I think it was, down in Santa Barbara, threw the case out. And I'm wondering if that was on technical grounds or what, if there's anything in there that might be of use to us in discharging our duties.
And I believe Ms. Koresh defended the city of Carmel in that lawsuit. So I think she'll be able to provide a firsthand accounting of the decision.
That's wonderful. The Pine Cone has a nice article on just that very thing in this last issue. So a summary.
I read the Pine Cone, but it was very, very short on technicalities. It may very well be that the federal court judge in Santa Barbara threw the case out because federal court wasn't the proper venue, or it may be something that was done on technicality, or it may be something that was done on the merits. And I really would like to find out about it.
Yeah. And just so the commission knows, I think we're thinking of starting the presentation for wireless with an update on sort of the legal cases, some of the legal background that's changed, more recently. So just to bring the commission up to speed on some of have the attorneys brief you on some of those changes that have occurred.
Nothing new about that. It's been happening from the beginning.
Yes, it'll keep evolving.
Yeah.
I have one other.
Better.
So also in the informational reports, the city council allotted money to a housing. What's that about?
Sure. The city planning office or just the city in general hires a number of on-call consultants. And in fact, the city council a couple of meetings ago approved our planning and environmental consultants, where we send out a request for proposals, and then we have multiple firms on call if we need EIRs written or noise reports prepared or hazardous materials reports prepared. In this case, we do use outside consulting services for housing, particularly, well, in a few areas, but Michael Baker will provide community development block grant support. Predominantly, they help us with the IDIS entry into the federal system and our compliance with federal laws. So Michael Baker, that's how we've used them predominantly in the past.
Do they also help with refrigerators?
No. Not yet. Haven't done that RFP yet.
Because I know we have this new state, one of the SBs, one of the Senate bills that's requiring us to add thousands of units to the city. I imagine. But thing that the city is gearing up to somehow
Yeah.
deal with.
So actually on the council agenda, next Tuesday is, the allocation of, we applied for and received some large grants to prepare our housing element. We have to update our safety element, our housing element, and parts of our land use element. And so, we hope that contract with Diet and Bahita will be approved next Tuesday, and then we're going to start our housing element process. And we're probably going to kick it off with the safety element, because we need to sort of figure out and take a step back and look at sea level rise zones, fire hazard zones, airport safety zones. Think about all of that. And then the Planning Commission will be taking a major lead on this general plan update and holding meetings about where and how should we develop for the next 8 years is the housing allocation for 3,654 housing units that we're supposed to construct from 2023 through 2031 is the state's allocation. And you can imagine that's a large number considering we have about 11,000 housing units now.
Okay, thank
You'll have your work cut out for you.
you.
Thank you. So
All right. Any other comments? All right, with that, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
So this wasn't technical enough. The